excited for this. I'm so excited for this talk that me and Easton have prepared for you guys these last 2 weeks. First of all, though, I would like to say I love being up here, and I love watching you guys worship. I almost started crying while we were playing up here, just watching you guys praising Jesus. I saw everybody's hands, I saw your eyes closed. I see that, and that was beautiful. So, yay, you guys, for loving Jesus. Yeah. Okay, so if you guys weren't here last week, I'm going to do a little bit quick, not so quick, recap of what Easton said last week, kind of for a metaphor of damaged goods. So, basically, here's you, okay? This is you. This is what we're going to say as a damaged good, okay? This is us. The can doesn't necessarily represent your body, but this is you as a whole, okay? And yes, there's something in it, so it's making a noise. It's kind of annoying, but it's okay. We're going to ignore it. So, when we say damaged goods, this is kind of what we're talking about, okay? So if the can is us, you can kind of tell that there's lots of dents in it, right? Like, hopefully you can see it. It's glistening. It looks nice. It's got lots of dents. So, anyways, when we say damage, those are the things in our life that make us hurt, make us feel less. Things, maybe your damage is something emotional. Maybe you had a friend that was mean to you. You had a bad day at school. Maybe you deal with things like anxiety and depression. Maybe you, anything else, fill in your blank, any kind of emotional damage. Maybe your damage is something physical. Maybe you have a hurt arm or you broke a bone or something and it's preventing you from playing a sport or dancing or doing something you love. That can definitely be damaging. That can definitely put some more dents in the can. That can make it look a little less nice, right? Maybe your damage is spiritual. Maybe you've been dealing with a lot of temptations lately and maybe your faith isn't as strong as it used to be. Maybe you're feeling a little bit distant from God lately. And maybe your damage is something else. Maybe your damage is something that was completely out of your control. Maybe you had a family member that was close to you pass away. That is something that was completely out of your control. That definitely can put a lot of dents in our little can, right? Yeah. So yeah, fill in your blank, whatever your damage is. We all got it. We all got things that make us hurt. We all have things that can tear us down, weaken our faith, make us feel less, make us really feel damaged. Oh, damaged goods. So I'm going to read my first little verse I have for you guys here. I think, yep, it's on the screen. Isaiah 51, 1 through 2, if you guys want to follow along. The slides work. Yay. Okay, so it says, "Come all who are thirsty, come to the waters. And you who have no money, come, buy and eat. Come buy wine and milk without money and without cost. Why spend money on what is not bread, and your labor on what does not satisfy? Listen to me, and eat what is good, and you will delight in the riches of the fair." So I really like this verse because in the beginning it says, "Come all who are thirsty, come to the waters." I really like when the Bible talks about us, the damage, as being people who are thirsty, people who are hungry, relating our lack of God and our lack of faith to like a physical thing, to where you literally, to survive, when it says being thirsty, you need water. When it says you're hungry, you need food, right? I see that as a faith thing. In the Bible, it's not actually talking about needing water and needing food. It's talking about your lack of faith and maybe your lack of God in your life. Those are definitely things that damage us. But the kind of towards the end part, spoke to me a little bit more when it says, "Why spend money on what is not bread and your labor on what does not satisfy?" To me, this kind of says, like, for me, in my personal story, a lot of times when I was damaged and I was this dented can and I had dents in me all around, I sometimes tried to fix it with temporary things. I would do things that would be like, yeah, I'm better, I'm all good, no more dents in my can. But not really, right? A lot of times we try and cover that up with a label and be like, oh look, it looks so nice now. It's fixed, it's good, pears. Right? But really, does that fix any of the dents at all? No, it does. No, it doesn't fix it at all. And the very last part I really like as well. Listen Listen to me and eat what is good, and you will delight in the riches of the fair. So when we have the dents and everything, this is the part that just flips it around and says, when you have those dents, when you have those things that are hurting you, when you have those things that make you feel weak and less, you need to listen to God. You need to go to God and see Him. So now, I'm going to share a personal story of a time in my life when I was feeling damaged and I was feeling hurt. So, on a mission trip, this past summer when we went to Minnesota, I love Minnesota. Who went to Minnesota? Yeah. It was great, wasn't it? Oh my God, I miss it so much. Anyways, we had this night. If you were there, you probably remember this. Hopefully you remember this. And if not, I'm going to explain it. So we had this night. It was kind of like a prayer night. And we were supposed to just kind of sit around by ourselves and pray a little bit, and we all got a rock. Remember? You remember that? Yes. Yep. Still have mine. It's in my hand. And we all got a rock, and we kind of prayed by ourselves. And it wasn't supposed to be like a specific prayer. We were just kind of praying. So I was sitting there praying with my friend Skylar. And then when you were done praying by yourself, you went to a leader. And you prayed with the leader, and the leader was going to write a word on your rock. Whatever they felt like God was calling them to write on your rock, or a word that they felt like represented you, whatever it was. So I was sitting there, and I was just kind of praying, didn't really know what to pray about. And then all of a sudden, it just became very aware to me of all the damage I had in my life. All the things that I was dealing with just kind of like flooded in at once, and I was like, oh my God, I'm a horrible human. And God just kind of really opened my heart at that moment. He made me realize like how damaged I really was at that time. And I was kind of like blown back by it when I realized it, because I had done exactly this. I put the label on my can to make me feel better, Like I pretended like, oh yeah, I'm great, but still, the dents were still there because I had given nothing to God. So yeah, I felt damaged. Specifically, I was dealing with a lot of self-confidence issues, a lot of body issues. Really, I didn't feel like incompetent to people. I felt like I was never going to be good enough for people, and I was never going to be good enough for God. I didn't feel beautiful on the outside whatsoever, and I definitely didn't feel beautiful on the inside with my character and my faith. I felt like I was lacking a lot. So the lack of beauty was probably the main thing. So I was praying that with Skylar, and I was emotional, I was crying, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm the worst. I'm sorry, Jesus. You're the best. I stink. And then, so I wasn't really wanting to go pray with the leader at the time. But I saw Louis kind of sitting in his chair by himself, so I was like, you know what, it's Louis, we're buds, I'll go talk to him. So I just kind of went up, and we said a prayer, and he prayed for me. And then I was kind of expecting him to just like take the rock and, like think about it, and be like, what should I write for Bethany's word? But he literally like took the rock, wrote it down, and gave it back to me in all like 2 seconds. I was like, okay, I was all right, that was quick. And when I read the rock, it was kind of one of those moments, when those moments in your life you're like, whoa, like there's God, there He is. In my hand was proof that God was saying, Bethany, I'm here. I see you. I know you're damaged. I know you're hurt. I know what you're going through, and it's okay. I'm here. I'm ready to take your damage. I'm ready to take those things you feel about yourself and throw them out the window. Louis, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Beauty and the Beast. It's a great one. I recommend it. But he wrote the name Belle on my rock. And Belle literally means beauty in French. Louis didn't know what I had prayed for. Louis didn't know what I was dealing with at the time, but God knew. And He spoke right through Louis and wrote that on my rock and spoke right through me. This was a moment in my life that I was really like, wow, I have to start listening to God more. And when I realized how much I actually have to start giving my damage to Him, which leads me to my next point, which another thing that God really opened my eyes about at this time, where you are never too damaged for God. No matter what kind of damage you guys have, no matter what kind of sin you are dealing with, no matter what kind of hurt you have in your life, I promise you, you are never too damaged for God. You are never too damaged for Him to love you, to pursue you, and to call you child. Amen. I promise that. It took me a really long time for me to actually grasp that and realize that. And I think at this moment with Louis, is kind of when it all was like, whew, he loves me, He's here, and these things that I'm feeling about myself are not true and they are not accurate. And it really opened my eyes there. So this kind of takes me back to our metaphor of this. We are this sad little damaged can right here, sitting on the shelf. You know, if we were a can, literally sitting on a shelf in the store with all of our dents in it and all of our hurts in it. I like to think like if that was us, literal cans sitting in a literal store with our damage and our hurt, that I think God would be the person in the store to like sprint down the aisle, like come to us and point to the can that was the most damaged and be like, yes, I want that one. I don't want the pretty Campbell's soup cans that have the nice labels and everything. I want the one that looks damaged. I want the one that looks hurt, because God did not come and Jesus did not come to pick out the nice little soup cans. He wants the ones that looks like this. He wants the ones that have the baggage. He wants the ones that have the hurt and the things to deal with. Because again, God doesn't care how damaged we are. He will always choose us and he will always pick us. So which leads me to my next point. So we are the damaged, right? I feel like we've covered that. We are the ones that stink. We have a lot of things going on, whether it's our own fault from our own sin, or it's things that are just thrown at us in life that are out of our control. We have dents and we have damage. But the good part about it is, yes, we are the damaged, but look, Jesus is the good. He was in there the whole time and you never knew. Yeah. So that's what we mean when we say damaged goods. Yes, we are the damaged, but Jesus is the good. He is the good inside us. He is always there with us. He has always been there. And he is just waiting. He is just waiting for us to say, okay, God, I have this damage, I have this baggage, I have this hurt in my heart, and I need to give it to you. I can't take it anymore. I need you to take it and you to take care of it. And he is just waiting for you to say that, just sitting in this little can, sitting inside of us, waiting for our hearts to be open. Even if, you know, you're at a point in your life where you're like, I don't know God, I don't know that kind of stuff, he's still there, and he is still waiting for you to pursue him. So that's what we say when we mean damaged goods. And again, the good in damaged goods does not come on our own. That is Jesus. So now, I'm going to read another verse for you here in the Bible. This is Mark 8:22, there, 22 through 26. And this is one of those awesome stories in the Bible where Jesus does some awesome miracles. Love all these stories. They're great. They're good ones. So this is called Jesus Heals a Blind Man at Bethsaida. We're going to pretend that I pronounced that right. I don't really know. So it says, they came to Bethsaida, and some people brought a blind man and begged Jesus to touch him. He took the blind man by the hand and led him outside to the village. When he had spit on the man's eyes and put his hands on him, Jesus asked, "Do you see anything?" He looked up and said, "I see people, but they look like trees walking around." One more time, Jesus put his hands on the man's eyes, and his eyes were open. His sight was restored, and he saw everything clearly. Jesus sent him home, saying, "Don't even go into the village." So there's 2 points that really stick out to me in this verse. The first thing that kind of caught my eye was that it takes Jesus 2 tries to heal this man. I think that I can see this and relate this in a way that's like, in my life, going back to my story that I told you guys about, I've been a Christian for a while, and I've had an active faith, and I gave my life to Christ about 3-4 years ago, officially. Woo-hoo. And that was my pivotal moment 3 or 4 years ago when I was like, God, this is it. I gotta have you. I choose you. But then this past, just less than a year ago, over this summer, I had another pivotal moment of that where I was like, God, I need you to take it. I need you to touch my eyes again. I need you to help me. So with that, I'm explaining, like, in our lives, if you guys have damage right now and you're like, yeah, I'm ready to get rid of it, you're going to have a lot of points in your life where you're going to need to give God your damage. And it is not just going to be like a one-time thing where Jesus is like, all right, I got you. And you're like, yes, I'm good for the rest of my life. It's not how it works. I'm sorry. You're going to have to be able to surrender to God multiple times in your life. And that takes a lot, I know. So that was the first little thing I noticed. The second was, again, that he touched his eyes twice. Why twice, right? Like, I fully believe Jesus is 100% capable of being like, you're cured, that's it, you're done, like, with a snap of his fingers. But he touched the man twice, right? So, Was it for his own glory? Was he just trying to show like, hey, I am this powerful, I can heal you, I cannot heal you, whatever? Or was it because maybe the man had a lack of faith? Maybe he was doubting God that he could actually be healed. Maybe he was holding on to his damage. I mean, if I'd be blind that long, I'd be like, oh my gosh, is this really happening? And for me, I did that a lot. When it was really hard for me to give up my damage and my things that were hurting me in my life, it was not easy. It's not easy to hold on to things for so long and be like, here, God, you take it. All right, here you go. It's not easy, and I understand that. And so if you guys have things, I 100% understand that it is not an easy thing to say, God, I need you. I need your help. So now, moving on from that, again, we know we're damaged, and we know Jesus is in us and Jesus is in our hearts. So now what do we do with that? How do we go on from that? For me, I have two main points that really helped me from past when I was on a mission trip, and things that since then have really helped me easily say, all right, God, here you go. Here's my damage. Things that I did that helped, and I want to share those things with you so that you guys, if you have damage in your life, if you have hurt, these ways can hopefully help you guys give some of your damage up to Him. So the first thing, is realize. It took me a really long time to realize the kind of damage I had. So the first point of realize is realizing your damage and realizing that God is the only one that can fix it. You can't just have all your dents in your can like this, all your things going on in your life, and just wrap a label around it. It is not going to get fixed. You can't use temporary things that try and make you feel better that aren't really going to get rid of the things that hurt your heart. So, first one, realizing your damage. What are the real things in your life that are making you hurt? What situations are you in, or what things are happening to you that are really causing your heart to hurt? And then realizing God is the one that can fix them. So in the second part, which is probably the most important part, is prayer. And two things that I really prayed for that really helped me give up these things to God and to move on was praying for grace and forgiveness, because a lot of this damage, a lot of these things on this can that make it so dented were from my own fault. Were from my own sins, my own temptations that I fell to, my own things that I did that caused it to become so dented. So grace and forgiveness, asking God like, hey, I'm the one who did most of this. I'm really sorry. Can you help me with that here? So pray for grace and forgiveness. The second one is pray for strength. Because like I said, giving these things to God is not easy, and I understand that. When you have things that you've dealt with for so long, again, maybe they're your own fault, maybe they're things that have just happened to you. Giving them to God is not an easy thing. Firsthand, understand that. So praying for strength to get through those things, praying for strength to help with those temptations, help with those sins and get over them, were things that I really had to focus on praying for. So I hope you guys could use these things, and maybe they'll help you get rid of some of your damage now. So, for this past 2 weeks, me and Easton's big prayers for you guys are pretty much these things. Realizing your damage in your life, and realizing that you can come to the conclusion that God is the only way to help you get through those. So, thank you guys. That's about all I have. Now, actually, we are going to have a little bit of a response time, because if there are some things that you guys are having in your life that you're like, I really need to talk to God about this. I really need to just have a moment and say like, God, I got some damage, and I need you to have it, because I don't want it anymore. So we are actually going to have a few minutes before we go to small groups. We're just going to have some music playing. We're going to stay in here. You can go into one of the rooms if you want. Where we're just going to have a bit of a response time, where I encourage you guys to pray. If you don't know what to pray, that's why I have these things up here. Praying for grace, forgiveness, strength, whatever you guys need. The leaders are going to be around too if you need someone to help you pray, or if you don't even have to tell them what your damage is, because I know our awesome leaders will just pray for you and be there for you no matter what. So I'm going to pray for us now, and then we're going to do that, and then we'll go to the verse in a little bit, okay? Okay. Jesus, we know that you know our damage. We know that you understand what is on our heart and what is hurting us. And my prayer for everybody in this room right now is that they give that to you, and they surrender that to you, and they give all of that to you, no matter what their damage is, if it's emotional, spiritual, physical, anything else, fill in the blank, whatever it is, that they can give it to you and they can surrender it to you, because we know you can take any damage and you can throw it out the window because Satan, he can't deal with that now. I just ask that you come into this place, you fill all these people's hearts. We love you so much, Lord Jesus. In your name we pray, amen. Thank you, guys. So yeah, this is your response time. You can pray whatever you want.